Okay, so it had some time to dry. We got all the window panes in, all the paint dried up. And we'll touch up the little sections later on when we do the finishing touches on the ship. One thing I want to show you that I did was there was actually a little area on port and starboard where the slanted windows on the wheelhouse, there was a little gap in the plastic. So what I did was I put just a little bit of the perfect plastic putty and I put it up into the area right where the window section meets the flange that goes out to the sides. There was a little gap, and because we're going to light it, it was going to be noticeable. So I took care of that. All right, so what we're going to do now is let's think about finishing up this section. When it comes to the detailing, the biggest part was the life preservers. We put the windows in. The back, there's going to be a staircase that's going to eventually go on that, but we'll do that when we put the finishing touches on the main deck. I think what we could think about doing now is putting on the roof. And we're going to address the port and starboard navigational beacons. Now, where they are on the CALYPSO, when you go, okay, we're going to look at the port side, right aft to the door that goes into the wheelhouse. I don't know if you can see that in the plastic, but that's the navigational beacon. Obviously, that's way too small to light up. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to use fiber optics, which fiber optics are an amazing thing. And what it's going to do is, when we run this into the little hole that we're going to drill, the light that we have lighting the inside is going to be picked up by the fiber optic tube, and it's going to be brought to the end of the strand, and it's going to appear like a little light. So that's what we're going to do. I think the first thing that we'll do is we're going to take a couple of sections. We don't need it big, but we do need to color them, because port is going to be red and green is going to be starboard, but we have to use clear paint. So I've got a little bit of the spray paint. I'm going to use the testers, and I know you can't really see that anymore, but this is the clear red paint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spritz the end ever so slightly. So this isn't going to be a lot. This is going to be just a tiny little spritz, just enough to show you. So let me just... All right, what I'm going to want to do now is we're going to cut this. And right about there. And we're going to let this completely dry, so I'm going to put that to the side. So red's going to be for port. Now green is going to be for starboard. And when it comes to the green, I got a little bit of a less messy alternative. This is the Tamiya. And this is the clear green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of the fiber optic and we're going to dip it into the green color, green paint. So we're going to let that dry now. So I'm going to put this aside. Okay, so while we wait for those to dry, I think we can actually think about drilling a small hole into the side for the lights, the navigational beacons. So let's get the drill. See, I'm going to use the angle on the inside. That's actually going to be my guide, so the drill bit does not slip. Normally I would use a pin vise, but for some reason I can't find mine right now. So I'm going to put this right up against that area. So hopefully you can see the drill went right into where the beacon would be, which is exactly what I wanted. Let me show you the area. See where that's going to be now? And what's going to happen is when we glue the fiber optic in place, it's going to, the light is going to be passing through the clear color, and it's going to look like the navigational beacons are lit. So let's do the same thing now for the other side, or the starboard side. I'm going to go right up against it. Same thing, let me show you. Up on the side of the door. So we're ready now to actually put in the fiber optics. All right, so I want to clear up a little bit of that plastic that had come out with the drill. So that looks pretty good. You can still see where the navigational beacon is going to be, the lens. All right, that looks good. So that's ready for the fiber optics. What I want to do now is on the back of the ship, around the back of the deck house, there's a wooden plaque that says CALYPSO. And the picture that I use is Jacques Cousteau and his wife. And they're standing on the back of the boat behind this, right in this area. And when you look up, you can see the plaque, CALYPSO. Now it's a wooden plaque, and the letters are gold. So the first thing we got to do with this is I want to paint this brown. So because it's so small, I'm going to see if I can use the paint marker, because it's going to be a little bit darker than the color on the cap, because it's dark. It's not black, but it's really like a dark walnut finish, and if this isn't going to be dark enough, I'm going to have to paint it. But let's see how this looks. Alright, so this is let's paint this right now. I'm just gonna go over it lightly. And again, this is gonna have to be thin enough where the word CALYPSO is gonna be able to show the raised area. See how that looks? Now we gotta wait for that to dry, and then we'll address highlighting the letters. All right, so that looks good. That looks pretty close to the walnut finish that's on the ship. All right, so we gotta let that dry now. Okay, so we had some time, and the beacons have had time to dry, and the paint. We got port and starboard. So what we're going to do is I think we're going to use, I like the Instacure. We're going to use a little bit of the Instacure. Now when we do, in case you guys aren't aware, when you're standing at the ship and you're facing the bow section, to the left is port and to the right is starboard. Now the port side, the lights are going to be red, and then the green side is going to be on starboard. So we're going to take the fiber optic that we painted. So let me show you what I'm talking about, how cool this is going to look. So we're going to put the light in my hand and we're going to block it off, and hopefully you can see how the light is going to shine through. All right, we are going to run this through now, the port side. Now obviously we don't need it to be that long, so I'm going to cut it. I'll cut it right about here because we're going to glue it in place, and then we can actually trim it more if we need to. So I'm going to run this through. All right. I want to keep some sticking out, not a lot, because remember, I can't cut it because we painted the end. So if we have it maybe a 1/16 of an inch, that would be really just about perfect. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a drop of the Instacure. So it's not going to take a ton to keep it into place. And now, when we look at the ship, you can't see it that well yet, but it'll be better when we cut it down and the light is able to hit it. You can kind of see it right there, but anyway, we're going to give that a second to cure. So we're going to do the same thing for the other side. I want to cut the starboard side. All right, we're going to run it through the same way. Yeah. Again, those are about a 1/16 of an inch. Yeah, they'll show it better when we cut the ends. All right, now we're going to give that some time to dry before we think about cutting the insides. So now when we put the light, see how that looks? That looks a lot better. You can see the red starboard. And we got the green, the red for port, excuse me, and then the green for starboard. So that's how we do the little lights. SMDs would have been too big and they would have been too bright, but the fiber optics are going to work really great for that. All right, the last thing we got to do right now is we have to think about putting on the top deck. Okay, so all the fiber optic strands had some time to dry and everything is nice and solid. One of the things that kind of bummed me out a little bit, the area where they put the beacons, the navigation beacons on the side of the pilot house, well, they're a little over. An instance where, okay, we're looking at the port side, so they were a little farther aft than they should be. And as a result, we got to put the roof on, and it's going to interfere with the cables. So they're not going to be able to be lit from the area inside the boathouse. So that's kind of a bummer. So we're going to glue the roof onto the the wheelhouse right now. So what I got to go ahead and do is we got to actually go ahead and snip the insides of the optic cables now, just because we're not going to be able to light them. And it's too bad too, because that would have looked so cool. See how cool that looks? But sadly, we're not going to be able to, because it's right in the area where the roof is going to come down. All right, so what you can see, hopefully you can see, there are little shelves going around the structure. And what that's for is to rest the roof on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit the roof on first, using those as a guide. So I want to make sure that the deck is resting on those guide pins, or those little shelving units or pieces. So see how the fiber optic is peeking through the wall of that bulkhead? So that's a bummer, because I thought that would have looked really awesome lit up. But we're not going to be able to do that. So let me just get it into position. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to use the Instacure. And I'm going to go around the edge from the inside to make sure that nothing spills over. So let's do it. So I'm gonna release it just enough to let the glue come in contact with the edge, and see how, just like that, hopefully you can see there's an edge. Now there could be a little area around the top where there might be a little bit of light leak, but if that happens, we'll address that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into position. I'm going to put something on it to keep it closed, because I don't have a vice grip that large. So I'm going to let this dry, and when we move on, I think what we're going to do next is we're going to think about lighting the pilot house, and we're going to put the light or the lights in this section, run it down, and wire it. So my friends, until my next video, I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.